Hey, what's up, everybody? So I didn't plan on going live today at all, but I am in the process of working on the new studio and sanding it. So I'm like, my hands are kind of nasty from it, whatever. But some of the mud on the drywall isn't all the way dry yet, so I got time to kill while I'm kind of waiting for the rest of the drywall stuff to finish. So I was like, you know what? I have something set up one in here. Why don't I just go ahead and do that? I could probably turn this thing on, huh? And yeah, so I figured why not mess around a little bit and show some stuff. So I'm going to show something super quick, and then I'm going to move away from that. So the super quick thing that I'm going to be showing is oscillator, raw oscillator stuff, just for a brief moment. So, real quick, I've got some interesting stuff set up, right? And the first thing that I'm gonna do, so the first thing I want to say is that there is a little bit of delay in this camera, and I don't think that I can compensate for that delay right now, because of the way my stuff is set up. Let me actually mute this one channel. That should be good. Okay. Um. So anyway, there's a little bit of delay in my camera, and that's actually going to be useful for what I want to do. So the delay in the camera means that you're not necessarily going to 100% be able to trust your eyes as far as what I'm doing back and forth, as far as which synth I'm playing, right? So, for instance, if I do this, that's two different synths that I'm playing right now. And just because you're seeing my thumb pressed down over here does not necessarily mean you're hearing the one that you think that you're hearing. I have got this other hand here doing this one over here. Can you tell the difference between these two oscillator sounds? So feel free to leave a message in the comments section. I'll be monitoring it from my StreamYard thing here. So if you feel like the levels are too low or way out of whack, whatever, just let me know. I do have a little mini heater going on in here, which hopefully isn't too loud. But yeah, so let me know what the audio levels are like. But so the synths that you're hearing right now are actually... That is the Vermona oscillator and the Little Monster VCO, both in saw wave, set an octave apart. The Little Monster is acting as the sub octave, and Vermona is the main octave there, and HydraSynth. So that is modular. That's the HydraSynth. And let's throw some Matrix Brute in here as well. Some Matrix Brute now. Now there you can hear a bit of a difference. So in that instance, and this is just because dude, people keep harping on and on about like analog versus digital and this, that, and the third. Now, so I just figured I'd show just straight up raw oscillator sound. And if you go up and down the key bed, all right, and then let's go back to the modular real quick. Hopefully I didn't jack my levels up too much by doing that, but... So they're pretty damn similar. Let's go up an octave here. So my question to you, go ahead and in the live chat there, if you're in the HydraSynth Facebook group, you can comment in there on the video. If you're in YouTube, you can comment on here. I want you to comment which one you think is which. Number 1, number 2. Number 1, number 2. Can you really tell that big of a difference? I don't know. If you can, man, you should be like super sound scientist. Okay, so that's boring stuff. Let's get into some cool stuff. I'm gonna do some fun synth tricks and tips with the HydraSynth. So let me get back to my voicing setup. I'm gonna take it back to a polysynth because I had it in a monosynth mode. And what I want to show is some cool tricks with the oscillators first. So I'm gonna put. I guess I can. Yeah, I'll move the camera real quick. We're gonna get into the really like the whole point of having a HydraSynth. Because right now, let's be honest with you. The point of having a HydraSynth is not doing stuff that you could do with everything else you've ever had. Like that is like, you know, you already have that stuff. So let's do some new stuff. So the question is whether or not I should bring the camera close enough to where you can see the screens, or if I should bring it out where you can see my whole method of operation. Because I can't really do multiple camera setup yet. That's going to be happening very soon though. That's pretty good, right? A little bit more. That's pretty good. Okay. And now I've got like a tripod all up in my way. Let me position this slightly better. There we go. Is that better? I think so. All right. I can kind of see what's going on here. Now, let me make sure that I have this stuff working. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do here is this patch. I want to be able to do some things with the oscillators that I can't do in most other synthesizers. So we're going to start with some wavetables here, and we're going to select our wavetables. Actually, I should say we're going to select our waveforms first. And it's going to build a wavetable. So I'm just pressing random when I do that. And if you touch each button here when you're in the wave edit, you'll get to hear just that waveform. See? If I want to do this one. That's kind of cool. And this one random, press a button, and we can jump into some random waveforms here. Okay. Okay, so with this setup right here, we can sweep through this. And I still have that other saw wave that's going on in my lower oscillator here. And I'm going to leave that there for now because I like it. Why not? So, first couple of things I want to do is I'm going to set up a mutant on here. And it's going to be oscillator sync. I like oscillator sync in the HydraSynth a lot because you can do some really interesting things with it. So one of the things that you can do with it is you can change the dry wet amount. So now I've got it at 50%. And that depth is that kind of classic sync sound. Right, but I'm going to keep it at 50. So I don't want it to be too overpowering for what I'm doing. And then I'm going to drop the ratio a bit. So we're almost at half, but just slightly off of that so it'll drift. And I'm going to keep the depth pretty low. So now if I solo this oscillator, right? You hear it's got this movement in it, and it's got this kind of strange depth to it. But this is where things get really fun, is if you go back to your mixer section into the second page, you can get to your oscillator panning. So we can go left and right. And I'm actually going to assign an LFO to that. And, oops, I want that on the mixer, not the oscillator. So we'll go here. And this is going to be the panning. About 50. Yeah, that's good. Now, in here, speed that up. Kind of take it like just to where it gets kind of imperceptible to hear the movement, but it's there. We'll actually probably go triangle. Yeah. Right about there. So we're going to be going for these kind of like psychoacoustic effects with it. And we'll leave this free running so the trig sync is going to be off. Okay, now let's go back to the turn off solo. And I'm going to use an envelope to the mutant. The envelope is going to go to the depth. And we're going to change the shape of this envelope. Here's a little pro tip. If you were on a blank patch and you hit init and then the attack and decay, it's going to reset that. If you go to your curves, hit init and press attack, decay, release, it's going to set it to an initialized value of 32, which is kind of useful if you just want to quickly get an exponential value on there. And we can make this loop. And let's say we don't want it to loop a whole bunch, just a bit. So I'll set it to like 6. Let's shorten it up a bit. I'll actually take it down to 4. And just real quick, I like to have a little bit more release while I'm sound designing. Okay. Just a little bit more powerful, or pleasurable, excuse me. So we've got that going on. The window in the sync is really useful. So it can sound like a high-pass filter, but really what it can do is it can allow the sync to kind of smooth out between the synced waveform and the non-synced waveform. I'm going to take that up a bit. So it can thin out the sound a little bit, but really what it can do is it can allow you to kind of blend it. So if it gets too clicky or if you hear anything too harsh, you can kind of smooth it out with the window. now. So now we've got like this kind of we've got this wider field going on, and we've got this weird sync happening. This is where it can get interesting with things like the FM, the wave stacking, all that good stuff. So if you start bringing this up, you get this wide detuned, and you might want to drop your depth back on this so it's not quite as detuned. So now you have this, like, it's pretty wide, and just it's just a big sound right there. And oscillator 2 we haven't even started on yet. This is going to be tuned considerably different. Let's go to 7, detune it a bit. And we'll change this to a wavetable as well. And we're just going to do completely random on that. And actually, so that second one, we don't want that high of a harmonic. We got on 5. Silence. Okay, let's change that up a bit. We'll take that to something a little bit different. So as we get to the middle, we'll get that fizzly sound on there. And that one, let's actually map these two together. So that's that same envelope that I was using for the sync. We're going to take that to the wave scan. Keep it kind of subtle. But then we'll also map a LFO to that as well. And this LFO is going to be pretty slow. Now the FM, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to set it high. It's going to sound like trash right now, but then I'm going to bring it down, and I'll set up my modulation for that after the fact. And this is something that I really like doing on my modular a lot too. So. Okay, so we're going to take the dry wet down on that. We'll modulate it from that LFO, and we're also going to use our poly aftertouch on that. So now we're starting to get into that spacier territory. And this is important because as we kind of build out these patches, the point is to build something that doesn't sound, you know, like a traditional analog synth at all. We want to build something that sounds, you know, new and different and interesting, right? the ring modulator is a really great way to beef up the sound. And I like to kind of set it about midway through and then have an envelope bring it in. So that's what I'm going to do here. What up, Joe? I see Joe from Sounds and Gear here. If you don't know about Joe's channel, I highly recommend it. He's doing some really cool stuff with the Phantom and with the Jupiter XM right now. So I highly recommend checking out those videos. So now we've got, some crazy modulation going on that's also hand controllable on the Mutants, and we're also bringing up that ring modulation to kind of beef up the sound. So before I even get to the filters, I'm going to be doing something with the effects here, all right? And again, the idea is to make something that's a little bit less traditional. I like to set the offset on my phaser. We'll set this to 90. Depth will be pretty deep. So now if you're wearing headphones or if you've got nice monitors in front of you, you're going to feel like a kind of push-pull effect, not just from the phaser, but remember, oscillator 1, we've got that stereo field modulation going on. And I'm going to intensify that as we go because I have the ability to bring modulations in and out, not just specific sources, destination, but I can bring lots of modulation in and out using the macros and the poly aftertouch and all that good stuff, even the ribbon. And let's set up LFO 5. It's going to be kind of slow right now. Triangle wave, and we'll turn it off. Trigger sync is off. And yeah, we should be good there. So what we'll do is take that to the mixer, which is going to go to our oscillator 2 panning. And we're going to keep it at 0. Depth stays at 0 for that. All right. Now we'll go to our macro 1. Assign that. That's going to go to mod matrix depth 3, I believe we were, right? Mod matrix. No, oh shoot, I'm already up to 8. So that's where we want to be. So depth will be number 8, and that's that 8th slot in my mod matrix. And then this is going to be a full amount here. And hit exit. So we can do this real quick, just to kind of... So now we're getting a lot more stereo action going on there. And we're going to keep assigning to this. So not only do we have that, but we're also going to assign... actually, let me get out of this. Mod matrix, we will assign LFO 2 is going to go to LFO 5's rate, and that's going to stay at 0. All right, and again, we're at source number 9. Hit exit, macro assign, back to that first macro. So now we're going to go mod depth number 9, and we will give it just a nudge, like 20, something like that. So now I can do multiple modulations at once. I'm going to be speeding up the panning and control the panning right there with that macro 1. Okay? And we'll give it a quick name just so that we have one. We'll call this one Twist, because I'm going to add even more to that in just a little bit. The idea is that we're going to be able to take this this patch, and just with a few tweaks, we'll be able to have the whole patch kind of start twisting around our head and moving in all these weird ways, right? So oscillator 2, yes, yes, yes. And you know what? We'll also do mod matrix. We'll go here. We're going to go back to our polyphonic aftertouch, and we will go to oscillator 2 to wave scan, bring that up a bit, and let me see something here. Okay, yeah. The encoder scaling, Index is asking in the YouTube chat, how does the encoder scaling feel? The encoder scaling feels really, really nice in this. I'm overly particular when it comes to that sort of thing. I get picked on by D Steele of MSX Audio and Joe and them when they hear me talking about like the Electron gear, because I don't particularly like the scaling of those knobs. And they're always laughing at me about how freaked out I get about that. But no, I really like how these feel. It's very like, it feels very tactile. Okay, so we're getting some good movement there, and we'll mess with the delay for a second here as well. Now I'm not sure if I want to use the stereo delay or if I want to use the reverse delay on this one. Nice thing about that is when you get into here, we're going to go ahead and hit ribbon, and we'll make the ribbon relative delay. It's going to shorten the delay time just a bit, and it's going to increase the feedback so I can... And it's also tied to pitch right now. But and if I want to remove that, I just simply hit ribbon, turn the mode to mod only. And we're getting these kind of background movements going on with that. And we'll actually we'll increase the feedback even more, shorten the delay time a little bit more than that. And it can be really fun when you max it out, because then you can get that. Okay, now, to kind of make everything blend in a little bit, we're going to use a little bit of that reverb, because it makes sense for this to sort of sound, nice spacey sound. I'm going to give it a bit of pre-delay, about 26 milliseconds. We're going to make the reverb is going to be pretty long at about 7 or 8 seconds. Got it at 8 seconds here. We're going to drop the tone back a little bit. I may actually increase the tone just to make it more airy, but we'll see where that takes us. Right now I'm going a little bit dark with it. So yeah, with this, what I think I want to do is I'm going to tie some monophonic aftertouch to the reverb amount, and I'm also going to tie the ribbon controller to it as well. So mod matrix, go here, we'll do the ribbon, is going to go relative, and then reverb, we'll do an amount, dry wet, so we can... monophonic aftertouch, and this is going to be way less severe than that, so we'll do just like maybe 20. And really what that's doing is that's letting it, as you're morphing between the wave sound, waveforms in the wavetables, I want to blur it. Like, I don't want this to be a tight sound. I want it to be like more psychedelic, really. With the ribbon, we can also use some time changing here. Why not? We'll let it increase the time a bit. And what I'll do is I'm going to back the camera out a little bit so you can see what it is that I'm doing with the ribbon, because I'm kind of realizing, hey, you guys aren't even seeing that. So just enough so that you guys can see what's up. Let me set that. Okay. What up, Chi-Town to Texas? And we haven't touched the filters at all yet, so let's go there. Now, I'll tell you some tips about the filters here. When you're using something like the Val, you want to be very careful with it, especially with this sort of sound. So what we're going to do here actually is I'm going to change it to parallel instead of series. I'm going to change the Val order. So now, increase the control a bit, resonance up just a bit. Okay, and obviously we're going to want some modulation there, right? Let's make the modulation try to make some sense. Don't know. Did I use envelope 4 and 5 yet? Let's check. 4, I don't know if I did it. Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm going to use 5. So we will go here to cutoff. So we're going to give it a nice, like, 4-second attack. Decay is going to be around 3 seconds. My dog wants to play. She's coming in here. And so what we'll do here... Don't let her walk in here. I don't want her to knock over the camera. Alright. And we're going to have these looping as well. We're going to adjust the curves just a bit. All right, and this is going to loop infinitely. And it's going to be a slow loop because I have the curve set for so long. So you're getting a lot of movement there. And LFO1 is going to go to our control. Excuse me 1 second. Slow that down a bit. Let's give that a slightly different wave shape. And smooth out the sampling hole. Okay, so now we've got some nice kind of movement there, and we're going to make this whole thing swirl around a whole lot more now. Because now we've got like lots of kind of upper end airy things happening, and I want to have some fun with it. So we're going to set up a macro. This one is going to go to oscillator 3, which is down low. And actually, you know what? Let's take that to the mixer. Sorry. And that's going to go to oscillator 3 panning, right? And we're going to give it just a little bit off to the side. But this isn't going to stay like this because this is actually, I'm going to be pushing and pulling it with the macro. It kind of doesn't make sense, but it'll make sense when I start playing with it. So mod matrix again. Now we're going to go to LFO1 to the mixer. This is going to go to oscillator 3 panning, 0. And that is modulation number 18. This is super fast to assign this kind of stuff, right? And then this is going to go full amount. And then we'll name it real quick. What do we want to name it? Mangle. That'll be cool. So. Okay, and one more, the filter. We're going to control the resonance with some polyphonic aftertouch too. Polyphonic aftertouch. What up, Corey? Corey's on a long commute. No, I'm not playing anything that you can ride home to. This is all just nerdy sound design stuff for making weird spacey pad sounds. All right, so we've got that going with polyphonic aftertouch. Why don't we add one more assignment here to the polyphonic aftertouch? Because I really like using the poly aftertouch because you can just do so many weird things with it. Let's actually have it go. This is probably going to sound horrible, but you can experiment and see what happens. So let's take this up to pitch. actually kind of dig it. And the cool thing about the poly aftertouch, oh shoot, you know what? Hold on. Here we go. Okay, sorry about that. It should be back now. Let's restart the camera. There it is. Sorry about that. I thought you were saying like because Corey's always in a canyon or something when he's driving home. I figured that he lost video because of that, but no, it was because my camera died. So anyway, so what I'm doing here is I've got polyphonic aftertouch set up also to pitch, and I have that set to 12. But because the polyphonic aftertouch is so sensitive and controllable, the key here is controllable. You can actually kind of like by hand tune each individual note. So let's go up an octave here. So it gives you like this complete control over making things get really wacky. Now, I'm going to start using filter 2, and filter 2 is actually going to, oops, I just changed that destination. That was supposed to be oscillator 1. Okay, so let's get out of there. I'm going to use filter 2 to just kind of smooth everything out when I want it to be smoothed out. And we'll take it down to a low pass. So you have low pass, band pass, high pass. That's your morph setting on that. If I want, I can. Oh, that's right. I have it in parallel. I forgot. Let me actually map this all to a macro. So we'll do here is going to be macro to filter 2. It's going to go to cutoff. We're going to have that go negative. And then we'll have it go filter 2 to resonance. We'll have that go positive just a bit. Okay. And then this is where it's going to get interesting. Now we're going to go to mixer. And this is going to go to oscillator 1 filter destination. All right. So that's going to go like 90%, like 90 over. And then we'll do mixer and we'll do oscillator 3 over there. I'm going to leave oscillator 2 just going through filter 1. Probably about the same. So now I can. You know what? We might do it. Here we go. And I'm also going to make this macro bring in some white noise, because why not? So we'll do there we go. And we can even assign that to filter 1 also, just to kind of give it a little bit more impressive change. All from one knob. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so lots of like just scary, spaced out sounds. And we still have like a lot of things that we haven't even really utilized, and that we can bring in with like slow modulations to kind of make it really start fluttering through. And let's do that Pry LFO5. I'm thinking again. Yeah, because I do. Yeah, let's do this. So LFO5 will go to cutoff, and then we'll have that to 0. LFO5 is also going to go to, yeah, here. Keep that at 0 for now. Okay. LFO4 will have go back to filter 1, and that's going to be at 0. And then LFO1 is going to go to filter 1's control. This is all going to be set up on a new macro, and it's going to allow me to get some just like weirdness going on here. And this is 23, 22, and 21. So mod matrix 23, and we'll do mod matrix 22, we'll do mod matrix 21, and then we'll do full amount on all of these so that I can. Just so much fun to make sound effects and stuff on this thing. All right, so now we've got that. Let's go ahead and name that one real quick, just so that we have a name for it, and call it Crystal. Yeah, that's fun. Okay, and then post effects. Let's use the lo-fi. We're going to take that dry wet all the way down. Take the sampling rate pretty low here. Cutoff's going to actually be pretty open. And let's see what we got here. Okay, so, and that's going to go to a macro as well. Macro is going to go to post effects, dry wet, full amount. Let's name it real quick. It's going to be lo-fi. Oh, past it. There we go. Low. Exit. Clipping a good bit there, so you know what, when I bring in that lo-fi, what I'll do is I'll have the macro also drop the amp a bit. And I actually have the amp pretty high right now anyway because I was doing something else, but I'll have that drop it down a bit. Maybe not that much. Let's go ahead and take that back a bit. Much better. So yeah, just very easy to map all this stuff up and just make like really weird sound effects with it. And that's what I wanted to do today. So I think my drywall stuff should be pretty much dry now, and I'm going to go do that, and I also have to go eat dinner. So anyway, this is Flux, fluxwithit.com. Peace.